To provide accurate and appropriate surgical referral. And we're providing guidance and training on how best to integrate care.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Excellencies, it is truly a pleasure to be here with you this evening. I'm among the many who are indebted to surgeons and the modern day miracles they perform. I stand before you healthy today because of a bypass operation I underwent earlier this year. So let me begin by saying, which is thank you to the members of the global surgeon family here for the lives I know your talents have saved. We need your expertise and initiative today more than ever. Of course, I'm not a doctor, and I have only an interested layman's knowledge of medicine, but I don't need a medical degree to diagnose the deteriorating health of the planet. And even my grandchildren in primary school can tell you that the deteriorating health of our planet is very bad news for humankind. Climate change especially presents us with serious challenges in expanding the reach and lowering the cost of surgical care. We not only have to fight to bring medical care to every person in every community, no matter how poor or remote, we also have to protect the systems we have built and the care that many people have become used to and even take for granted. Fijians know from the devastation we've endured that the climate crisis is a health crisis. Stronger storms can kill. Heavier floods can cut off access to health facilities. Droughts can starve crops, and the rising seas can swallow entire communities and ruin arable land, seriously threatening food security and general nutrition. I cannot stress enough, these are not projections. This is happening now. It happened this week in Puerto Rico. It happened last month in Pakistan. It is happening daily at the shorelines of the South Pacific. 5 Pacific Island countries make up the top 15 nations most at risk to disasters globally. In Fiji, we've relocated 6 communities to escape the rising seas, and we have over 40 more in the queue to be followed. 14 cyclones have struck us since 2016, the worst of which, Cyclone Winston, wiped out 1/3 of the value of our GDP in 36 hours. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the equivalent of the United States losing the combined GDP of California, Texas, and New York over the course of a brutal day and a half. We have seen brilliant flashes of Fijian heroism and resilience during these disasters. One of those storms, Category 4 Cyclone Harold, arrived in the early days of the pandemic when Fiji was dealing with its first wave of COVID-19. Our officials managed a disaster response in some of our most remote island communities without spreading a single case. Through an exhaustive contact tracing effort, we went on to eliminate the virus completely. And for a full year after, Fiji was COVID-free. We have since vaccinated virtually every adult and reopened the country to the world. You're all very much welcome to visit. Climate change has driven a sea change in how Fiji pursues development. The same trend is true among all small island countries. You have to see the extent of the devastation we've endured to even believe it. When you do, you'll draw the same conclusion that we did. We have to rebuild to the standards of a warmer world. That applies to homes, that applies to roads, that applies to schools, and it certainly applies to hospitals and health facilities. Making surgery accessible to people living in over 100 populated islands was already a daunting challenge. Doing so in the face of an existential crisis like climate change demands resources that are scarce and time that is fast running out. The pandemic, ladies and gentlemen, added to the urgency while pushing finance further out of reach. 2 years of border closures brought on 2 years of the worst economic recession in Fijian history. It meant delays in shipments of medical equipment for our geographically remote economy and the health sector. Small countries were at the mercy of a, frankly, unaccommodating global financial system. We had to triage, as they say, in emergency rooms and redeploy finances to help Fijian families make ends meet. That held up some planned development. But I'm glad to say our borders reopened last December and we are on the road to recovery. It is a long road, but we are moving forward quickly. We will not stand still and cast our fate to chance, and we are certainly not going to take one step back. Just as we've had to climate-proof our hospitals and health centers, climate resilience sits at the center of our health policy. With like-minded surgical specialists from our partner countries, Fiji launched the SUBA evidence-based surgical, obstetric, trauma, and anesthesia care in low and middle income countries on the margins of the World Health Assembly this past May. Its 11 best practice strategies were developed through a review of 40,000 literature and surgery cases in low and middle income countries. Its aim is to save lives through more universal access to surgery and other advanced medical treatments, a mission that Fijian doctors and nurses live and breathe. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll give you a brief idea of where we stand today. For one, healthcare in Fiji is free. We even sponsor visits to private general practitioners and dental clinics for all Fijians who need that support. Our network of healthcare extends to some of the most remote rural and maritime regions of the country. And we have developed a medical assistance team known as FIMAC, the Fiji Emergency Medical Assistance Team, that provides medical treatment, including surgeries, on board a ship called MV Webueti, a word in our Toke language that means to help someone in a time of need. It makes regular stops over in maritime communities to perform surgeries, as well as to provide pediatric, obstetric, and other specialist services. In some cyclone seasons, it has been deployed almost continuously to the front line to offer life-saving medical care. Soon, a newly upgraded hospital in Fiji's Western Division will make cardiac surgeries available in Fiji 24/7 for the first time in history, thanks to a partnership with the Australian healthcare company Aspen Medical. And we are pouring new funding towards scholarships and loans for students looking to enter medicine to offer more specialized care in country. There is much more we'd like to do through partnerships with the right countries and organizations. I can't stress enough how welcome overseas doctors are in Fiji to help us build capacity and even offer surgical services to our citizens. It would be an experience of a lifetime that would save lives, and we seek partnerships with medical and educational institutions to make more of these exchanges possible. We also bear a crisis of non-communicable diseases along with climate change and COVID-19. We've lost more than 10 times the number of Fijians to NCDs during the pandemic as we did to COVID-19. That is a crisis that is not going anywhere. And it is one of our people wish that the world treated more seriously. So on behalf of Fiji and every small island developing state, I'd like to echo the call of the World Health Organization to support our nations in overcoming our challenges of scale, geography, and increasing vulnerability to climate change. And to the many experts in this field here with us tonight, please know how valued your contributions will be to the Fijian people, and indeed to all people who face the wrath of climate change and difficulties in accessing the life-saving services you can provide them. So in thanking you again, ladies and gentlemen, for what is all that you do for your patients in the world, I look forward to what more we can do together. And I thank you.
What a fantastic way to kick off our program, to hear those incredible remarks and observations. And you're absolutely right. This climate crisis is a health crisis. And similarly, as we address health needs, we have to do so in a way that is climate friendly. And